Us here live on Periscope, or you are joining us on the replay. Good morning, Tracy. Please know, yay! Please know that those hearts do work. You can give a lovely little tap to the screen there, and that just lets me know that you're here, lets me know if I'm providing you with some sort of useful content, things that you can use in your business. Okay, or things that are going to help you maybe with your mindset of your business. All right. Those of you joining us on YouTube, thank you so much for popping in here. Good morning, Miss Tanya. So for those of you joining us on YouTube, thank you so much. If you'd like to be a part of our live interaction, please feel free to come on over to Periscope and follow me at Buffy Hood. Okay, now we are going to go ahead and get started. I know this is normally our Truth Be Told Thursday. Good morning. This is normally where you guys get a chance to ask me questions, and you're going to be able to do that. But I feel like there's something that I need to share first. And for the gentleman who commented thinking that I'm doing this to try and recruit workers, so not true. I'm talking to people who are already in direct sales, okay? Which means I'm not trying to recruit anybody. Y'all are already out there doing it, okay? And whether you are in my downline or whether you are in a totally different company, doesn't matter. I feel like God needs somebody to hear this morning. So if you find that it is something that is hitting you and that it is just truly helping you in some way, please make sure to let me know. Okay. All right. So real quick, I'm going to introduce myself. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Buffy Hood. I'm a jeweler with Premier Designs Jewelry. I've been with them for 9 years, and Periscope is just a place where I come to basically share my experiences, share different things that I've gone through that perhaps could possibly help you in your business, and things like that. So one thing that I would like to share very quickly that many of you may know if you've been following me on Periscope for any length of time. You may already know this story, but basically I came into Premier in May of 2007, okay? And after about 6 years, I started feeling like maybe I just wasn't supposed to be doing this business anymore. I felt like my downline was dropping left and right. My shows were canceling left and right. Anything that ever had to do with Premiere, it just seemed like it was constantly a negative thing being thrown at me. Whether it was snotty comments from other people, whether it didn't matter. It didn't matter. It just seemed like there was just so much junk. You know what I mean? So much junk. And I just got to a point where I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'm just supposed to be done. Okay. And the second I said it, it didn't feel right with me. Okay. It just did not feel right with me. You got it. You got it. Okay. So what wound up happening, okay, was I came to a point, yes. Okay, and listen, and I do appreciate all that, and this is not an issue of worshiping money. So unless you understand what's being done here, yeah, we're not going to keep you here. Sorry. Okay, so anyway, so I just got to this point where I'm going, maybe this just isn't for me anymore. But like I said, it didn't sit well with me. It just didn't feel right to me. Okay. So I wound up deciding that, you know what, I I need to pray on this. I truly need to pray on this because I was to the point where I just wanted to throw in the towel. I'm going, this would be so much easier if I just quit. Okay. So instead, my husband, of course, who when all this was going on, I'm like, that's it. I'm just done. I'm just done. I'm quitting. I'm over this. And he took one look at me and he's like, you're not quitting. You love this way too much. You're not quitting. You're not quitting. You get so much out of this that isn't even financial. You're not quitting. You know, like I can see a difference in you from 6 years ago. You're not quitting. Okay. And I'm going to do my best not to get wound. Okay. So anyway, That's awesome, Tracy. Let me tell you, you made an awesome decision. I'll just say that. Okay, so needless to say, back in 2013, the devil was working on me in ways that you could not even imagine, trying to make me think this was not what was right for me. Okay, so I decided this morning to run some numbers because people constantly ask me, okay, so, like how things been going since then. Okay, so I just wanted to share my numbers with you all. Now, listen, I'm not talking sales because I'm not going to discuss I'm not going to discuss income because I don't feel that that's anybody's business, if that's okay. But I am going to share in terms of number of shows and number of jewelers who joined our family. Okay, so that's what I'm going to be sharing. All right, because truly, those of us who are in Premier, we know this isn't just about jewelry. This isn't just about sales. This is about the number of people that we have an opportunity to come in contact with to bless and enrich their life in some way, shape, or form. Okay. So that's what these numbers reveal to me. Okay. All right. Does that make sense? Tanya, I'm telling you, you were such a huge part of that story. It's ridiculous. Okay. And we will get there, and hopefully I won't cry because this is awful. Okay, so my first year in Premiere. Okay, y'all ready for this? You want to hear how awesome and rockin' my first year in Premiere was? If you're ready to hear, put a 1 in the box. Put a 1 in the box. If you're ready to hear how awesome and rockin' my first year of Premiere was. Awesome! Yay! Okay, you ready for this? I'm going to throw this out there. I want you all to guess the number, and if you already know the answer to this, no guessing for you. Okay, but for those of you who truly do not know what my first year looked like, I want you to put a guess in the comment box of the number of jewelry shows that you think I did in my first year. Right, Kelly? Okay, the number of jewelry shows that you think I did in my first year. Okay, we have some correct answers. Okay, I'm going to try to pull this back because I don't want you seeing anybody else's info. Okay, all right, are you ready? And I'm going to cover up. Oh, it's just easier for me to tell you because I got to cover up too much information. Okay, so number of shows was 12. If you said 12, you guessed the right answer. Okay, so here's the thing. When I first came into Premiere, my goal was to do 1 show per month. I did that. Okay, yet isn't it funny that in my first year of Premiere, I was also doing the comparison thing. I was getting caught up in the comparison trap. Even years into Premiere, I was still getting caught up in that comparison trap of going, this girl just started and she did like 12 shows in her first 30 days and it took me a year to do 12 shows. Like, what's wrong with me? Blah, 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 blah. Okay. But here's the thing. When I was originally going through that first year, I was content. I was happy. Why? Because I met my goal, which means I was successful in attaining my goal. Yet I looked at what somebody else did and went, I'm not successful anymore because they did that in like 30 days. It took me 12 years. Okay. I know, right? Okay. So here's the thing. First off, get off that comparison trap. Get out of it. Okay. If you are comparing what you are doing to that of somebody else, stop it. Stop it. Because this is your journey to be taking. Your needs are different. Your life is different. Your availability is different. Everything about you is going to have a different result than somebody else. Okay, so please stop focusing on that. You need to focus on the path that God has you on in your business. Okay, that's it. Stop focusing on everyone else. As I've heard before, eyes are on your own paper. Eyes on your own paper. Okay, stop focusing over here. Stop focusing over here. You focus here. Okay. Now, me personally, here's the thing. I don't have to compete with anyone else because I'm too busy competing with myself to be better than I was the day before. Okay. Yes. Think about God's goal instead of your own. Okay. So ask God where he's leading you in your business and then strive for that. Okay. But I compete with myself. My goal is to be better than I was yesterday because I know that God did not create me to be mediocre. He didn't. He created me to do something with a purpose and to do it with excellence, and that's what I strive for. Okay. So it doesn't have to be a matter of, me doing something to appease somebody else or me doing something to gain a specific award for a certain reason. It's me simply trying to do better now than what I did yesterday and what I did the day before and what I did the year before. Okay. All right. So guess how many people I sponsored, or I should say, guess how many people came into my Premier family, because this is not just going to be who I sponsored, but who came into our Premier family. Okay. So guess how many people joined our Premier family and our 10-10-10 in the first year. Tell me how many people you think came in. We're going to let some answers come up here. All right. We did get at least one correct answer. There may have been more. Okay, so the number of jewelers who joined my Premier Designs family in my first year, three. Okay. All right. Now, I'm going to skip ahead a couple years because I want to go to 2013. Okay, which is the year that I almost quit. All right, let me look at these numbers. Actually, we're going to look at 2012 first. Let's look at 2012 first because that'll show you kind of like I didn't really have a reason to be like looking at myself getting all like ho hum. Okay, like I could have just gotten over myself, which I did. Thank God. Okay, all right, so May 18th of 2012 through 2013, the year that I'm looking at going, like, it is just all falling apart this year, and I may as well just give it up. Okay? If you're ready to hear this, put a 1 in the box. Okay, so I'm going to share what my number of shows were and the number of jewelers that joined my Premier family in the year that I thought everything was just falling to pieces. Okay? You ready? 32 shows and 7 new jewelers. And I looked at that because of what was happening in that particular month, all right, that I was supposed to renew. And I'm looking at it like, it's just not even working anymore. I may as well just be done and blah, blah, blah. And, I mean, seriously. And that's why I say, like, there's no way that was me looking at my actual numbers and understanding, okay, what was actually going on. It was totally 100% the enemy trying to work on me to try and get me to stop doing what I was doing, okay? He was trying so hard to prevent me from staying in this business, okay? Now, you want to know why? You want to know why? All right, so let's look at the next year. All right, let's see here. So 2013 through 2014, okay, even though when I was getting ready to throw in the towel, I had one show on my calendar. One. Okay, just one show on my calendar. Here's what wound up happening. We closed out that year with 35 jewelry shows that were my personal jewelry shows. Okay. But I also did 12 training shows because that year I personally sponsored 12 jewelers. I mean, what? Okay. Is that not insane? Okay. So here's my thing. I went from maybe averaging like 4 to 6 each year to 12 that I personally sponsored. Okay. So if you add that up, all right. So basically we had, let me see here real quick because I want to make sure my math is right because, yeah. So 47. Okay. So I went from previous year of doing 32 and 6 training shows. So that was only 38 to the next year doing 47. Okay. 47 shows, sponsoring 12 people in my first level and had 4 additional ones in my 10-10-10. Okay. So in 1 year, we added 16 new jewelers to my family and 47 jewelry shows the year that I almost quit. Okay. Had I quit, that year never even would have happened. Not at all. Okay. Now, let me tell you again. Are y'all enjoying like hearing these numbers? Because I don't know why I'm such a numbers person, but I am over the years now. Okay. Now, my second year of staying in after I almost quit. Okay. Come back for the replay. Okay. Because it gets a little better. All right, now here I got to start. Actually, I got to add some. All right, so let me do some adding here because it has it all kind of split up. Okay, so yeah, listen, yes, keep doing it, Okay, so 2014 through 2015. All right, so after I decided that, you know what, I was not going to let the devil have his way with me, and I had that first rocking year, I'm going, okay, well, maybe this was just like the boost that I needed to remind me why I need to be here. Okay. But it was also us saying, Lord, this is your business, and whatever you want us to do with this, we'll do it. Okay. So if you want us to have bookings in that area, then we're going to be so bold to ask you to make sure that we get some bookings in that area. If we are shooting for bookings in that area and it's not happening, we're just going to be content with the fact that for whatever reason you are keeping us from that area. Okay. Same thing with jewelers. All right. We had started praying that if people were to be a part of our jeweler family, then we were going to be so bold as to ask the Lord to make that happen and to help us in whatever way we needed to make sure that that happened. But that if they were not meant to be in our jeweler family, that he kept that from us because he has good reason if he doesn't want them there. Maybe they're better off somewhere else. Okay. Or maybe he was saving us from something, whatever. So as we started giving it to God and totally letting him have his way with this business, okay, then things started changing, okay, in like a major way. So we already had that awesome, first year, which was actually starting into our 7th year. Okay. But it was really when things started to, my mindset changed. Okay. So then the next year, then 2014 to 2015. All right. We personally held 46 jewelry shows and 8 training shows, which means we personally sponsored 8 jewelers into the business that year. But we added a total of 25 to our premier family in our 10-10-10. Okay. So 8 of those I personally sponsored. The rest came from other people in our downline. Okay. Hello to you. So we, again, okay, if you were to base off my first year alone of saying, well, I did 12 shows. Okay. All right. It's one of those where It just doesn't make sense to me why people look at a first year in a business and go, oh, it just didn't work for me. It just didn't work for me. Okay. You didn't even give it time to work. Okay. But you absolutely have to stick it out. And then even 6 years in, I thought, oh, Bob Bolander always says you're not allowed to, you shouldn't even be thinking about quitting if you haven't been in at least 4 years. And I'm going, well, I've been in for 6. I'm allowed to quit. No, because the Lord had bigger purpose for me than what you can even imagine. And I'm going to touch on another part of that story from 2013, but I want to get through these numbers first. Okay. All right. So 2014 to 2015, 46 shows personally held and 8 training shows. Okay. Now, and 25 new brought in during that first year. All right. I got some more adding to do. I'm telling you, I don't know who God needed to hear this message this morning, but I pray that it is blessing you. Okay? All right. 2015 to 2016. Tracy, maybe this was all for you, girl. Okay? So, 2015 to 2016. We personally did 55 jewelry shows. And there was a total of 26 new jewelers added to our premier family. Okay. So y'all, let me tell you, if you're looking at 1 year or you're looking at 1 month and you're sitting there thinking to yourself, you know what, this is just, maybe I'm just not supposed to do this anymore, but chances are it is the devil working on you, something terrible, because there are big things around the corner for you if you just stick it out. If you would just stick it out, there is something major around the corner for you. Now listen, so, you look at that. All right. So that was, because I want to compare this. Okay. Real quick. I want to add these up, because not all of them, because that would take forever. Okay. But I do want to add, I got to make sure I'm putting the right papers on the right side. Okay. But I do want to add from the 2013 through 2015. And if I wasn't using my laptop to also record this, I could just pull it up on my hood and house, because that would be so much easier. Okay. So we had a total of 67. Are y'all listening? 67 new jewelers that came into our downline from the day that I said I wanted to quit, and maybe I was just supposed to be done, and maybe I just wasn't supposed to do this business anymore. Okay. 67 new jewelers. That's ridiculous. Okay. Number of shows, when I'm looking at myself going, I only have 1 show left on my calendar and everything else. Okay. Wait. Yes. Let me make sure I got my pages in order here. Okay. All right. Now let's see here. So when I only had 1 show left on my calendar, we did I know, I'm sorry. We need some Jeopardy music, right? Where's my Jeopardy music? Almost done. Almost done. Okay. 1 show left on my calendar. In May of 2013, I had 1 show left on my calendar. So I was just I should just be done, because I only got 1 show left. Y'all, since then, 160 jewelry shows have been held. 160 have been held in those 3 years, from 1 that was still on my calendar. Okay. Now come on. You gotta look at that and understand that when you are feeling beat down and you are feeling like, man, I'm just not supposed to do this business anymore. I'm just not like, I have one show left. I need to just be done. Okay. Stop thinking that, because that is just the enemy trying to keep you from something good. And here's the thing, I can't speak for the other companies out there, but I can speak for Premier, in the sense of, for those of you who are in Premier and you know the heart of Premier, listen, there is so much good happening and being done through Premier that the enemy cannot stand, because it is all being done in God's name. Okay. So here's the thing to that. If you are in Premier, especially, and you are feeling like, that's it, I just need to be done, don't. Don't. Because I'm telling you, the devil is trying to prevent you from something amazing. From something amazing. Listen, you can have faith like that. You absolutely can, but you have to first give it to God. You have to first have the faith enough to give it to Him and allow Him to work through you, and be able to look back at that and say, that was God. I didn't do that. Okay. I can't do that on my own. That's these numbers. This is not me. This is all Him. All Him. And I'm going to get wound up because I'm thinking about the other side of that story. Okay. So how you give it to God is you stop being focused on yourself. You stop focusing on what you're getting out of something, and instead you focus on what you can do for others. All right. I'm going to be a giant ball baby now, because I need to touch real quick on my girl Tanya, who commented here a little while ago, because it's taken us some time to get here. Okay. So Tanya was one of the guests at that one show that I had left on my calendar. Okay. So the one show that I had left on my calendar was for a high school friend of mine, Christy Becker. Okay. So Tanya was a guest at that show, and she was asking a gazillion questions. She was asking all the right questions. Okay. And I do, for many of you, my sponsoring activity during my shows is a little thing called Ask Me a Question About My Job. Okay. And people just get to ask me questions about my job. Girl, don't tell me that. That'll make it worse. Okay. So Tanya was asking all the right questions, but I always give a disclaimer that says, this comes with a no stalker guarantee. You ask me lots of questions, I only assume that you want more Diva tickets, or you want more of this, or you want more of that. Okay. Whether we're doing Diva tickets, auction dollars, whatever. And so she was asking all these questions, but of course, in the back of my mind, I'm going, this girl would be great at this. She would be so good at this. And then she wound up booking a show, and she was so excited for her upcoming show that I can't even remember how much she had in advanced orders, but it was like a couple of $100 worth of advanced orders that she had even before her show. So I had told my husband, I'm like, okay, this girl doesn't know this yet, but she needs to be a jeweler. Like, if she can go out and get this much in advanced orders for her show, and she's this excited about it, and her little face just lights up when she found out how she could wear easy living in different ways and everything, like, she needs to be a jeweler. And so we had already decided that we were going to talk to her about it at her show. Okay, so we get there to her show, and or I should say, I get there to her show, because at that time David wasn't going to every single show with me like he does now. And so needless to say, I get there, we're talking, and all throughout, like, I keep just kind of putting like little seeds out there again of like, she'd be really good at this. Wouldn't Tanya be great at this? And oh, if Tanya decides to do this, how many of you would do a jewelry show for her? And like those kind of things. And so needless to say, at the end, I shared how much, Tracy, I'm telling you, you stay in, girl. You're supposed to be here. Don't ever let anybody tell you anything any different. Okay. So needless to say, at the end of the show, I get to talking with her, and I shared how much she would have made had she been the jeweler. Okay. And of course, she got this little grin on her face, and she's like, what's funny is as I was showing this stuff, everyone kept asking, that's awesome, girl. She's like, everyone kept asking, so are you going to be selling this stuff now? I really think you should be selling this stuff. And I think you should do this and that. And she talked about how she was so busy. She didn't have time because Miss Tanya is such a giver and such a lover that she was doing so much for everyone else that she wasn't doing anything for her. Okay. And she needed something that was for her, but she also needed finances. Well, hello. Okay. Premier perfect fit. Okay. Because it's something that can be for her. She can then have, listen, that's okay. That's okay. Look, I still occasionally have shows that barely clear 100. Okay. And then I have other shows. I had a personal show that was 2,000. Right. So it doesn't matter. Don't focus on that. Okay. All right. So here's the thing. So we're going to fast forward a little bit. Tanya did wind up signing up that day at her jewelry show, had her jeweler number before I even left. Okay. So she had her jeweler number even before we closed out her show. All right. Tanya took me from builder back up to designer. The very next month, I went to one diamond designer. Okay. But that's not the best part of it. The best part of it is through Tanya's story, which was that a year later, Tanya went to her very first national rally, and while at rally, she gave herself to Christ. Listen, had I quit, who knows? I would like to think that Tanya would have come to that place on her own, but I don't know if she would have. I don't know if she could have because of her surroundings compared to what a difference it made for her surrounding herself with Premier Designs people, hearing the word of God at trainings and that kind of thing. So needless to say, for those of you who are focusing so much on the amount of your retail, on the number of shows, on the number of people sponsored, let me tell you something, that all means nothing if it means that you can help lead someone to Christ, and that means that they now have eternal salvation. That is way better than anything else. It just is. So, I'm going to stop trying to be a giant ball baby here. Okay? But I would love you, girl. But I would love to hear if anybody has any questions, anything else. If you had any burning questions that you were wanting to ask, please feel free. Yes, she is awesome. She is awesome. Bobby Joe, I love that. Sorry if I'm making you late somewhere. Yes. Yeah, right? So, needless to say, I'm going to try and draw my eyeballs so I can read anything that's coming through. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to go ahead and ask. I would love to be able to answer any. Hey, Myra. All right. So I know that I have been keeping you all on here way longer. Tracy, I'm so happy to hear that because that just means that perhaps it was totally for you. Kelly, thank you for that. Shirley, it is absolutely my pleasure. Absolutely my pleasure. So I don't know why that hit me so hard this morning, but yeah, it was, as I was getting ready to come out here, that's awesome. That's awesome. I'm so happy to hear that. So happy to hear that. Yeah. Yes, make sure you do catch the replay. You can see me bawling like a baby. Um, but does anybody have any questions that they would like to ask? Okay, Kelly, go. But give me one hot second. I'm looking to see if I have any tissues out here. Oh, Bobby Joe, that's awesome. That is awesome. Wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. Oh, thank you guys so much. Thank you for that. All right, and we do have a question coming through for Miss Kelly, or not for Kelly, from Kelly. So we will give just a second. Thank you all so much for the hearts and for hanging in there with me as I shared a little bit about that. But yeah, like when I just started thinking about that, and it just sorry, Miss Tanya, and it just kind of blew me away because I'm like, you know what? I don't know when the last time is that I actually looked at those numbers. When you book a hostess, can you talk about your timeline, postcards, etc.? Okay, so the postcards, in terms of like as soon as they book, send out that thank you for booking card pretty much immediately, like immediately. Get that out as quick as you possibly can. And that's just kind of a reconfirmation of, hey, we have a show on the books. Don't forget to put this on your refrigerator, near your calendar, or whatever. But then for hostess packets, I usually touch base with them about 6 weeks. Aw, that's awesome, Tracy. Usually 4 to 6 weeks before their show is scheduled for, if they're scheduled out that far, then I contact them just to kind of reconfirm, because as an example, there are times where I'll have a hostess schedule for later that year, so she might schedule like 6 months out. So while I would still be in touch with her periodically, because here's the thing, I do friend my hostesses, customers, whatever. So I tend to still kind of stay in touch with them all throughout, like leading up to the show. But usually about 4 weeks to 6 weeks out, I will contact them to reconfirm that day and time does still work for them. And then I let them know when I'm going to be sending out their hostess packet, and then get their hostess packet sent out usually 3 to 4 weeks ahead of time. And then I have the advanced order postcard that I send out about usually about a week, maybe 2 weeks after I would have sent that hostess packet. And then about a week later, I send the final postcard of the 3 bookings. And then that way it allows me to be kind of touching base with them pretty much once a week, the 4 weeks leading up to their show. And then the other thing that I do sometimes, depending on how far out they're scheduled, is I will occasionally send fun mail. So I might send, booked a show for the 20th. Not necessarily. I mean, you can, but truly the fun mail is usually for those who are scheduled way far out. And I'll send them like a box of sprees, and it'll say, can't wait to spoil you at your free shopping spree, or send them just a little pack of Smarties that says you're such a smartie for hosting a party, or something along those lines. But yeah, and there's all sorts of different kind of fun mail that you can send. But what I would say is make sure that even, if they're scheduled 6 months out, as an example, you want to be touching base with them at least once per month during that 6 month time frame. And well, I should say during that 5 month time frame, until the month of their show. And then it's once a week. But yeah. Should you do Facebook shows? Everyone has asked that. Here's what I'll tell you. There are a lot of people who do Facebook shows and are successful. I have not been successful at doing them. I don't know what it is. Like, people just aren't going to them. They're not going to the event. So I wish that I could tell you like exactly how to do it. What I can tell you is There are some people out there who offer trainings on such things. Because that's not my place of expertise, I don't have any advice to offer there in terms of like being able to make them successful. Do you have a goal for a certain number of OPs per show? And I know how great Premiere is. Wonderful. Okay. So do I have a goal of certain number of OPs per show? No, I don't, because there again, I'm totally giving it to God in the sense of I might leave. Yes, yes, exactly. That's exactly what I do. Because basically, when I am um, doing my shows, when I'm going to my shows, okay, I have a prayer that I tend to do on the way to my shows, which is basically, Lord, this is all being done for the glory of you. So I ask that you use me this evening in any way that is going to help be the light for you, that is going to help give others hope, etc. I ask that, whoever you wish to have there, that you help them get there safely, that you help them return home safely. If there's somebody there that you wish for us to serve in some way, whether it be through free jewelry, whether it be through just loving on them, or whether it be through assisting them with their own business, whatever it is that, whatever needs they have that we can possibly help meet, we just ask that you open our eyes and ears to those needs, that you make us sensitive to those, and that you give us the words needed to be able to bring that across to those people and allow their hearts and minds to be open to be able to receive that. And that's what we go on. So, as an example, when I do my deal or no deal, if I don't get, 3 or more bookings, it's okay. I will still ask each person at checkout and say, hey, have you given any more thought to that? Yes, you absolutely. Here's the thing, you absolutely should be doing that every day. I mean, even before you leave your house, you should be asking the Lord to put people in your path. But ladies, I will caution you on this. Do not ask the Lord to guide your footsteps if you're not willing to move your feet. Okay? Don't ask him to put people in your path and then you refuse to talk to them. Don't ask him to put people in your path and you choose to turn a blind eye to them. Okay? So you want to be very cautious of that. Okay? So you want to make sure that, now for me personally, when I am praying for him to put people in my path, when those people then come into my path and they bring Premier up to me, that tends to give me a new confidence in making sure that well, hey, I asked him to put these people here and they're coming to me, talking to me, so let me go ahead and open my mouth and share. Like, I can do this with confidence. Because even if their response is no thank you, well, guess what? Then they may have just been practice for me for the next person who will say yes. Okay? So we have to keep that in mind. When we're getting those no's and everything else, that is totally okay. That is totally okay. How do you make this a God business and thrive? How do you not focus on you? Okay, so here's what I can tell you. Okay, when I focused on me, it didn't work. When I had selfish ambitions, it didn't work. All right. When I started looking at it from a perspective of, you know what, God's will is going to be better than anything I could ever even possibly dream up myself. It's going to be better than any dream I could ever have. It's going to be better than anything else that I could ever imagine. And I just need to trust and have faith that it's going to be all for him. And if it's all for him, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't, like the accolades and the awards and the this and the that. Now listen, that doesn't mean you don't strive for goals, because I'm also a firm believer that I feel as though God will place goals in your heart, things that he wants you to strive for, okay? Because he's building you. He is helping you to become the person that he wants you to be. So it's not to say you don't go after those goals, but it's not where you go after those goals, no holds barred. It's not where it's, I don't care what I have to do to meet that goal, I'm going to meet it. If you are meeting goals and you're not upholding the integrity of your business, it's wrong. Stop it. Stop. If you can't obtain the goals without feeling like you have to be sneaky about it, or without feeling like you have to lie to get it, or without feeling like you have to step on somebody else's toes to get it, then that is not of God. Okay? So if you start feeling like, oh, you know what? Well, it's okay for me to go ahead and put this catalog show in as a jewelry show because, well, I mean, it was the hostess and like her 3-year-old daughter there. So, I mean, like, we can just say she had a guest. Like, who would know? Okay. Well, who would know is God. Okay. And you would know. And over time, that is not going to be a good thing because let me tell you, if you let a little bit slide here and a little bit slide there and a little bit slide there, before you know it, you do not have the integrity that you need to be running your business in the right way. I am in Delaware. I'm in Delaware. No, no, you should never listen. You shouldn't feel selfish for trying to obtain a goal. But like I said, it shouldn't be, I'm reaching this goal no matter who I have to step on to get there. That's the wrong way to have it. Okay. That's the wrong mentality. All right. Now, and Tracy, do me a favor, hon, reach out to me on Facebook as well. Send me a friend request on Facebook if we're not already Facebook friends. So, but here's the thing. You want to make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons, that you're doing it with the right heart. And y'all, back in February, when we were so close, okay, to achieving our 2 Diamond Designer promotion, okay. Yes, he does, Tanya. Okay. Well, I say we were so close. We were 10 jewelers away from qualifying as 2 Diamond Designers. Okay, we had all that we needed personally, but we needed 10 more jewelers to qualify for 2 Diamond Designer. All right, that was on February 27th. Okay, so needless to say, we didn't have much time before the end of the month. And I'm sitting there looking at it, and at first I was going, oh, you know what? At first I started doing the whole pity party thing, and I'm going, well, I guess it's not going to happen again this month. Guess it's not going to happen again this month. And instead, the next morning, I woke up with a completely different attitude and just said, you know what, Lord? If this is your will for us to have this promotion, then I'm going to be so bold as to ask you to do this because I know that while I can't do this in my own power, you absolutely can. You absolutely can do this. So if this is your will for us to get this promotion and for us to be in this new level of leadership, then Lord, I'm going to be so bold as to ask you to do it. However, if my heart is not in the right place for this, I'm asking you to keep it from me. If I want this for selfish reasons, I'm asking you to keep this from me because the Lord knows my heart better than I know myself. Okay? So when I go to him and I say, if it is your will and my heart is in the right place to receive this, then I'm going to ask for you to do that in my life. And I'm going to be so bold as to thank you already for what you're going to accomplish. And guess what, y'all? By the last day of February, we were promoted to 2 Diamond Designer because I said we needed 10, didn't I? We needed 5. He gave us 10. Okay? We needed 5 jewelers to be able to qualify. He gave us 10. All right? But again, that came from a place of humility of me coming to him and going, I can't do this on my own. I know I can't. Okay? But through him, thank you for that. But through him, I know it can be done, but I only want it if it's his will. I don't want it if it's just mine. Okay? So the best thing that we can do for our business and for our goals and our dreams and everything else is to ask God to come in and say, look, we want your will to be done because your will is going to be better anyway. So we want to do whatever your will is. We're going to put forth the work. We're going to put forth the effort. And if this is something that you want us to have, then we're going to be so bold as to go ahead and ask for it because we're ready and willing to accept that. like we're ready to reap those rewards, but we also want to make sure that we are doing it in his time, that we're doing it in his way, and that we're doing it with him in mind, not ourselves. Okay. Now, here's the thing. God is all about us working. All right. So there's nothing wrong with striving for goals because he's all about us working. We are supposed to work. Okay. we're supposed to be productive. All right. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with us going out there and striving for goals, but you want to do it with the right heart. Don't just do it because, well, I want to do it so I can step back and say, look at what I've done. You strive for those goals, and then when you meet them, you say, look at what he has done. Okay. I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes more sense to you in that aspect, but don't ever feel guilty or selfish or anything else for going for that. With a different company, but this still applies. I believe God. Yes. Yes. That's awesome. I'm so happy to hear that. I'm so happy to hear. And I would say too, that I really wish that whoever the guy was when he first came on, who thought that I was using this Periscope as a way to use religion to recruit people. I wish he were still here so he could see I'm not trying to recruit you. I'm happy you're in your own business, and I'm just happy to see that it touched you in some way, shape, or form. And who knows, maybe he was still here and he saw it and he just left because he realized that his idea of what I was doing is not the same. Yeah, yeah. And here's the thing. So, and honestly, that guy is a prime example. People are so used to someone only doing something if it's because they're getting something out of it. Okay? If it's like people assume if I'm here trying to help others, it must be because I'm trying to steal them from other companies or I'm trying to convince them that my company is the best. Like, no, that is not what this is. Um, Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So Tracy, so you're kind of getting back into things. Exactly. That's so not Premiere. And here's the thing. And Tracy, I can I can relate to that to a degree because of the fact that while it's not rheumatoid arthritis for me, it was that in 2004 I was rear-ended by a tractor trailer. So this was one of the few jobs that I could do that didn't like send me in a ton of pain through neck and back and everything else, because I can work it as often as I'm able. And yeah, so that's okay. No need to be sorry. It's here's the thing. That's a whole nother story. Let me tell you, that's a whole nother story, another time, another place, another scope. But yes, we will just say that the Lord used that circumstance um, to get me home with my babies again, and that then led us to living in Delaware. And had it not been for moving to Delaware, I never would have done Premiere. So there were a lot of things that kind of came along with that. Yes, yes, it was all part of God's plan, and He used it in so many amazing ways. So absolutely. Well, listen, unless anybody else has any other questions, I'm going to let you guys go because I've held you up now for 60 minutes. This has been our longest scope in quite a while. So I don't want to hold you guys up any longer than what I already have. So I think I'm just going to let you guys go for today. But please come back and check us out tomorrow. Tomorrow is our Fashion and Faith Friday. I thank you guys so much. And thank you. If anybody came here with any questions that you didn't get a chance to ask and you're still like wishing you could have, then please send me a message on Facebook. I'd be happy to answer your questions through there. You're so very welcome. I'd be happy to answer those questions through there since we didn't get a chance to do it here today. But tomorrow is our Fashion and Faith Friday. So basically what that is I'm going to be showing you some fashion tips. My name on Facebook is Buffy Benton Hood. Buffy Benton Hood. So you can find me on there. But yes, it is our Fashion and Faith Friday. I'm going to show you some either It's usually jewelry combinations, versatility, that kind of thing. But then we also touch a little bit on faith, sharing prayer requests, that kind of thing. So be sure to pop back over to Periscope tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. I so look forward to seeing you guys again. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today while I went over this. I know this was not the scheduled content by me, but it was scheduled by him, and evidently somebody needed to hear it. So I'm so thankful that you guys were here for me today. I appreciate it. Thank you for watching me be such a ball baby. Love you too. All right, guys. I will check you guys out tomorrow. Have a blessed day, and we'll see you soon. Thanks.